Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie begins with an American community. Cash wakes up and exercises lightly, before going about his everyday chores. In the past, Cash was the right-hand guy of the village's most prominent mafia lord. He however decided to repent after his younger sibling died of an overdose. For the time being, he has decided to continue the livestock business he inherited from his late parents. He is also assisted by his older brother, Finney. There is also Savannah, Finney's daughter, who also contributes to the success of this firm. After Savannah's mother died in a vehicle accident, she bonded with her uncle Cash. After feeding all the livestock, Cash invites Savannah to lunch at one of the village cafes. After he goes to the bathroom, 3 thugs come in and approach Savannah. These thugs are henchmen of the Mafia and Cash's former boss. Shortly thereafter, Cash arrives and he immediately tells Savannah to wait outside. He asks the reason for their visit, and one of them replies that the Mafia boss wants to talk to him about his farm. Hearing this, he is a little confused as to why the boss suddenly wants to talk about his family farm. But the thugs start laughing, and say that he should ask Finney about it. He rushes home and questions Finney about this, who finally tells the truth. He has mortgaged the land deeds of their farm to the Mafia's boss. Having been out of money for the past few months, Finney spent all the money buying pet food. Upon learning this, Cash gets furious, saying that Finney should have given the certificate to the bank, instead of the Mafia. He is sure the Mafia will soon confiscate their farm. The next day, he comes to see Zaki, the only son of the Mafia boss, and asks how much money Finney asked the Mafia for when he mortgaged the deed to the ranch. Zaki replies that the amount is so high that he won't be able to pay it back. But there is a way to pay off all the debts. He should go to the Mafia boss and negotiate directly. At the same time, Finney and Savannah receive a surprise visit from an uninvited guest, the henchman. They force him to pay his debt immediately, even though it is not yet due, hitting him several times without hesitation. They take them outside and shoot near their ear. After the bad guys leave, Cash finally returns home, and is shocked to see his younger brother injured. Later, Finney apologizes, since now he realizes it's all because he dared to borrow money from a Mafia boss. Cash asks him to calm down, and promises to solve all these problems. Shortly thereafter, Cash goes to the police station and asks the sheriff for help. However, after he explained all the issues, the sheriff and his superiors say they can't help, due to lack of evidence. In the end, he leaves, thinking he has no choice but to negotiate directly. One night, he comes to see the Mafia boss, Big Cat. Cash asks what he can do to ensure that their debts are all considered paid. Big Cat is going to give him 3 jobs, and if he can complete all 3 of his tasks, all of his debts will be paid. With no other choice, he finally accepts her request. The next night, he gets to work with one of the boss's subordinates, Sam. They observe a house that appears to be the home of Big Cat's rival. Cash takes a closer look at the house, and sure enough, the Big Cat's business rivals are inside. He quickly returns to the car and tells Sam everything, who immediately contacts the other henchmen, because they are going to attack the rivals. Soon, Sam's friends arrive, so they immediately carry out the attack without any problem. The team successfully eliminates Big Cat's rivals. Cash's first job is deemed complete and they immediately go to report to Big Cat. The next day, Cash confides in a priest. It turns out the priest is his best friend Wilder, and was also Big Cat's subordinate in the past. After Cash tells him all about his problems, the priest encourages him to be patient and pray to God. The priest is convinced that if he continues to pray, God will not remain silent. The next morning, Big Cat's men arrive to pick up Cash and do his second job. This time, he is ordered to sell several kilograms of illegal goods to a dealer from Mexico. Cash and the henchmen locate the location of the deal, and immediately head there. Upon arriving at the trading location, they immediately retrieve the goods. But at the same time, one of the Big Cat's men suddenly kills a man. Cash is confused, and the man replies he had some personal issues with him, that's why he killed him. Cash doesn't want to cause any more trouble, so he immediately asks the man to clean up the body, as the dealer from Mexico would be arriving soon. After disposing, the trader from Mexico arrives with his men. Here, the dealer asks where the man with the beanie is, since he doesn't want to make the trade without him. Cash tries to lie, saying the guy has some trouble, so they represent him today. However, the dealer wants to cancel the transaction. At this point, Cash immediately kills the dealer and his men. They immediately take the dealer's money and leave. Therefore, the second order is considered successful. A few hours later, Cash washes the car, accompanied by Finney. He tells Finney he will pay off all of the debts by carrying out 3 tasks. Finney asks him if he is sure Big Cat will keep the promise once he finishes her 3 jobs. Cash replies that if she doesn't keep the promise, he will kill them all. In the afternoon, they teach Savannah how to shoot to protect herself. The next day, Cash gets ready to complete his third mission. But this time he has to move alone. He arranges a meeting with the deputy. The third mission is to trap the deputy. It turns out the Mafia has long targeted the deputy, as he often gets in the way of their work. Cash lies to the deputy that he knows where Big Cat's drug production base is, and gives this information to him. After that, the deputy thanks him, not realizing it is just a trap. In the evening, Cash is picked up by Sam, and they head to Big Cat's base, where they are going to attend a party. Big Cat gives a speech, stating this party is a Thanksgiving banquet, as the business is growing rapidly. She then invites all her men into a room, because she wants to show them something. Shortly, Sam appears with a person in a wheelchair, covered with a white sheet. When Sam opens it, the person turns out to be the deputy, severely tortured and soon to be executed in front of everyone. Big Cat and her men all cheer with joy. The deputy who was always interfering with their work would soon die. Cash, on the other hand, feels so guilty that he comes forward and asks for permission to take out the deputy. In reality, he intends to save the deputy, but unfortunately Big Cat refuses his request, and she kills the deputy without hesitation. Cash then affirms all the missions are done. Therefore, according to the original agreement, his family no longer owes Big Cat any money. Upon hearing this, she says the contract is no longer valid, and if Cash wants to pay off the debt, he has to work for her forever. Upon hearing this, he leaves silently. He contacts Finney and tells him that Big Cat has broken her promise, and orders Finney to go as far as he can with Savannah. If they still remain in the area, the Mafia will definitely continue to bother them. Meanwhile, he is planning to massacre Big Cat and all of her men. Upon learning this, Finney tells him they first need to go to church for a service, because they already had an appointment with the priest. So Cash observes Big Cat henchmen from a distance. He also draws a map to note the places not guarded by her men. Finney and Savannah go to the church attending the morning service, led by Cash's close friend. After the service, they quickly bid farewell to the priest, as they will be leaving the village today. However, when they try to get into the car, Sam and the others immediately punch Finney. Savannah watches her father get thoroughly beaten, and she can only cry hysterically. The priest comes shortly afterwards, and he manages to send them away. However, Finney is seriously injured in the incident, and is immediately taken to the hospital. A few minutes later, Cash arrives at the hospital. When he enters the room, he is shocked to see Finney died from excessive bleeding. After that, he meets the priest outside the room. He asks Wilder to secure Savannah, while he is going to take revenge on Big Cat and her gang. Wilder agrees and urges him to be cautious. Next, two henchmen are seen using drugs in a car. But suddenly, Cash comes out of nowhere and kills them both, and immediately leaves the scene. Minutes later, the henchmen bodies are recovered by medical teams and a sheriff. Big Cat arrives and immediately asks the sheriff for information regarding her men's deaths, who replies it is very likely that both men were killed by Cash, as it turns out that they found Cash's discarded car keys. At this point, the sheriff decides to submit to Big Cat, as he does not want to suffer the same fate as the deputy. The next day, Sam and his gang arrive at Wilder's house. Sam asks the priest to hand over Savannah if he wants to survive. Apparently they already knew that Savannah would be entrusted to him, since he is the only person close to Cash. The priest tries to lie, and says Savannah is not here. Sam doesn't believe it, and immediately punches him. Savannah, who is in the room, surrenders to the henchmen to stop the beating. Sam tells Wilder that if Cash wants Savannah to survive, he must surrender to Big Cat. Few hours later, Cash visits Wilder's house, and he is very surprised to hear Savannah has been taken by Sam. Wilder apologizes for not being able to take care of Savannah, and also relays the message from Sam. When Cash hears this, he asks for help. He reveals he wants to kidnap Big Cat's only son, Zeke. Upon hearing this, Wilder is willing to return as before to help. The two immediately visit Zeke's office. Once there, they briefly kidnap him. Cash then contacts Big Cat, and tells her that Zeke is with him. If Big Cat wants her son to be safe, she must be willing to surrender Savannah. She doesn't want anything bad to happen to Zeke, so she finally comes to an agreement to meet at her headquarters. Cash realizes she would never fulfill her promise and has another plan. He asks the priest to take Zeke alone to Big Cat's place, while he breaks into the headquarters through the back door. Wilder ties Zeke to the hood of his car, and heads to Big Cat place. When Wilder arrives, however, Cash was right, Big Cat doesn't intend to surrender Savannah. He threatens her, and quickly points his gun at Zeke. Meanwhile, Savannah is still tied up and guarded by a henchman. She notices a sharp iron behind her, so she moves the chair closer, and rubs the tape in her hand against it. This allows her to untie herself, and she grabs a gun and immediately shoots the man. As soon as Big Cat hears the gunshots, she orders Sam to check what is going on inside. Soon she and her other men try to attack Wilder, until the gunshots go off. In the meantime, Cash is still trying to break into the house through the alley, and is killing the guards there one by one. Wilder is still fighting the henchmen, and manages to kill several of them, but unfortunately Zeke is able to escape. After that, Zeke successfully shoots Wilder in the arm, who immediately shoots back Zeke in the leg. Zeke tries to escape into the forest, but two of Big Cat's ferocious dogs smell blood, and immediately attack him. Big Cat hears Zeke's screams, and immediately runs after him. Unfortunately, Zeke has already been killed by the dogs. Meanwhile, Wilder gets into a gunfight with one of the Big Cat's men. Eventually, he takes a bullet, but manages to kill the henchman. Cash manages to break in, and tries to rescue Savannah from Sam. He chases after Sam, and is able to kill him. Cash then gets to Savannah and asks her to run away. Unfortunately, Big Cat arrives and starts another gunfight. Cash tells Savannah that she should climb out the window, while he continues to endure Big Cat's attacks alone. Savannah immediately climbs out the window. Meanwhile, Cash is already weakened and there are no bullets in his arsenal. He has no choice but to surrender, and is held at gunpoint by Big Cat. But when she is about to finish him, Savannah pops out and kills her. A few weeks later, Wilder is giving a lecture at the church. Meanwhile, Cash and Savannah continue to take care of their farm, their lives much more peaceful. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.